This is Stephen James Peterson. Welcome to the Raven Rising podcast. Today, we are exceptionally lucky to have Kim Gateb, author of Midlife Mom to Supermom, How I Turned Stressed and Tired into Happy and Energized. She also has a couple of other projects going on, but guess what? Not my job to tell you. She's on next. Thanks for coming.
Bear with us for a quick 18-second delay before the recording starts. I apologize.
Hello, Kim. Welcome to the Raven Rising podcast. How are you? Oh, is this your first time using the app? Are you able to hear me right now? There you are.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm good. Thanks. How about you?
Not too bad. So welcome to the Raven Rising podcast. To have you here. Been watching through the Game Changers Academy now for a while, so I'm really happy to have you. Do you mind introducing yourself to everybody and let them know what you've done and what you're working on?
Not at all. Well, after 20 years in the corporate world, I just had decided I had enough, and I call it being a corporate drone. I'd had enough of that and decided to go out and pursue real estate full time, since I had been flipping houses since way back before it was the thing to do. Got out on my own and found the Game Changers Academy, and that changes your mindset and your focus. So now here I am a couple of years later, the author of several books and with a new venture underway.
Outstanding. So let's dive in a little bit here. Since you said author of several books, what books exactly have you written so far?
So I completed one called The Entrepreneur's Journal, which is a journal that really came out of how I wanted to journal. I honestly just wrote it for myself. And then I realized that other people might like this as well. So then after completing that, I wrote Midlife Mom to Supermom. And that is my story of how I biohacked myself back to health after leaving the corporate world.
Nice. And then you have round 2 coming out on the journal?
I do. I actually just finished it yesterday. So it's off to the formatter now and should be ready probably about another week.
Outstanding. So give us some more history on that corporate world that you came out of and why you decided to leave it.
I was in the insurance industry for a long time, and I did very well there. I worked my way up into management, and I liked my job for a long time. And then I'm not sure if it's the industry changed or that I changed, but it just wasn't fulfilling me anymore. Another great thing that happens is that when you get a little older in the insurance industry, you're not as in demand. So I found myself out of work and sitting on the couch saying, what am I going to do with myself? I don't want to go back to this 16-hour-a-day unappreciated job anymore, and decided, okay, that's it. I'm not doing it. And I looked at what else I was good at. Well, flipping houses I did great at. So here I am. I now own a real estate brokerage.
How long have you had the brokerage?
It's been open for a little over a year now.
Okay, outstanding. Now, who do you have for partners with you
Just
on
me.
that? Just you. Outstanding. Tell us about the book. Tell us about Midlife Mom.
So, like I said, I was stressed out in the insurance world to the point where my body kind of crashed. And I don't know how else to explain it. My doctors didn't know how else to explain it, but everything sort of stopped. I couldn't get off the couch. I was taking 4 naps a day. Like, I would get up in the morning and drink 4 cups of coffee and go back to sleep. So this was not normal. So I I was reading a Tim Ferriss book, and it was Tools of Titans, and he talks about bulletproof coffee in there. And I said to myself, okay, I'm just going to try this because what's the worst that can happen? I'll drink 3 more cups and go back to sleep. Well, I didn't go back to sleep for the rest of the day. So bulletproof coffee really is what got me started on biohacking. And once I realized that if I could keep myself awake in the condition that I was in, I could probably change some other things as well. And I got started on this whole journey that has been about 2 years now. And now I have more energy than I know what to do with. I'm happier than most people can tolerate. And it's fantastic. So I felt like I was onto this secret that everybody had to know about. And that's why I wrote Midlife Mom to Supermom. It's really everything I learned in that 2-year span and how to hack yourself from overtired and stressed out to as happy as I am.
So did you start working on that book before you came to the Game Changers Academy, or was that something that you did as a result of?
I think it's something I did as a result of, but I don't know if it's a result of. I don't know if I would have done it without being a part of that academy or not. But it's definitely something I started after.
And excuse me, but for any listeners that don't know what the Game Changers Academy is, Kim and I are both members of Peter Voogd's Game Changers Academy. It's a mastermind and mentoring group that we participate in that is rather phenomenal. But God, there's so much value there. That's what I have to say about it. And that's where I met you. That's where I met Tim Michael. And it's just been actually a super needed breath of fresh air to my projects as well.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So go through the book for me. How did you break out your chapters? What are you addressing in there?
In the beginning, I addressed a little bit about my background. I try not to get too in depth because honestly, I'm sure no one cares. But a little bit about my background and how I got to the point that I was at and why I wanted to write this book. Then I go into how to hack your body and your mind, and your mind meaning your physical brain, and then your mindset.
Well, let's dive into that. What are some of the key hacks beyond the bulletproof coffee that really lit the fire for you, that really gave you the ambition to reach for more?
I don't know that it was any one particular one, but a combination of a whole bunch. I had such terrible memory issues. Like I would come up to the top of the stairs. Not only would I have forgotten why I was there, but I would have forgotten the note that I wrote myself at the bottom of the stairs so that I'd remember when I got there. And after several months of using the coconut oil blend MCT oils, I wasn't having that issue anymore. So I realized, like, if I could control that, I could probably control pretty much everything. So then I started on intermittent fasting, which controls how you think. It controls your appetite. It controls your whole body, really. I started doing the infrared sauna and saw a huge reduction in chronic pain. I could go on forever. I mean, it's endless what you can do.
Nice. So now, how many copies have you sold of that so far?
About 1,000, and it's been out for a little less than 3 months.
Okay. So what type of, are you focused purely on mothers in that book, or is that open for fathers also?
The science really applies to anyone. The reason I targeted moms is, one, because I am one, and I am at this age where you're figuring out that you've got to reinvent yourself as your kids are getting older. And I wanted to, when I attacked the mindset, I wanted to really show moms how to reinvent themselves once their kids are gone, and that they need to think about this before the kids are gone.
Yeah, I can relate to that. After having stepkids running around the house and like controlling everything in a nutshell, and all of a sudden just suddenly becomes a lot more quiet when one leaves, and then when they're both gone, it's just like, what do I do now?
Yeah, I can imagine. I still have a 17-year-old, so I'm not quite there yet, but obviously reinventing myself, so I don't have that issue when she's gone.
Nice. So the mind hacks, that's something that I definitely, you say that you used a whole combination of different things. I don't have a problem with you going into those in depth. That if you're working through a bunch of the, like you mentioned on the phone call before we started, Tim Ferriss was an impact that made a big difference for you. Was it just being able to reach into his context and his commentary to see how he's revamped his life, and you were sitting there thinking, man, I can do this myself?
I'm not even sure it was that in depth. I think it was the first few chapters in Tools of Titans that were so motivated. Actually, maybe, yeah. They were so motivated that I thought, well, maybe this would work for me. And what can I try here? I tried acro yoga, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but yeah, great, fantastic. No one is. I love not having to explain that. I hate to say this, but I tried metformin for losing weight, which is something that is prescribed off-label. It's an insulin controller.
Okay.
So it's designed to help diabetics, and it's prescribed off-label to help you lose weight. And I had a great reaction to it. I lost a bunch of weight, but I gained it right back, of course, right after. But that's not something that I would recommend. But again, I did get the idea from that book. But I even went through some of the crazy things he talks about doing in the 4-Hour Body, which if you've read that, if you go into the 4-Hour Body thinking that Tim Ferriss is sane, you'll come out questioning
that. From my experience of Tim Ferriss from a distance so far, there are certain things that when I first encountered him, I thought he was absolutely crazy. But after I had a chance to apply some of the concepts that he had, and I was dealing with the 4-hour work week, it was just amazing at what I was able to accomplish. So that was just a lot of fun for me. Especially when I was living at a flamenco dance studio in the center of Mexico City. That was definitely one of my favorite periods of my entire life, to say the least.
Yeah, I can imagine. That must have been fun. Yeah, the 4-hour work week had quite an impact on me as well. It's what made me start my first company.
And that's the brokerage that you're doing now?
No, unfortunately, there was a short failure before this.
Ah.
No, I started a company called Virtual Insurance Assistant. Because, when you're starting a company, you think about, what do I know? Well, I knew insurance. So the idea was to outsource a lot of the insurance work, take some of the burden off the people that are in the offices, and maybe save some money for the insurance companies. I was also ahead of my time because this is an industry that does not want to change. So that didn't go very well.
Oh, I'm very familiar with the insurance industry after having had my casualty and surety license for a while. Oh. So, yeah, they love paper in triplicate. They love paper. Yeah. And it almost took an act of Congress for us to be able to start migrating that over even onto a tablet application to where we could do everything on site with the consumer without having to have paper. So tell me about your failure, though. I mean, you were ahead of your time. What was the break point? Was it that you just weren't finding people participating with what you were offering?
Yeah, the response that I would get is, "Oh, that's a great idea, but I don't think we can use that yet."
Now, was that more of a regulatory hurdle that you were running into?
No, it was simply acceptance. I mean, I was working with the independent adjusters at that point, or trying to. So they wouldn't have had the regulatory issues that a big company would have. And it just, everybody thought the idea was great and they could definitely see that it would save them money, but they just weren't on board.
Well, change is one of the scariest words for people that have been doing something the same way for a while.
Yeah, and it's been a long while.
Very true. All right, so we're going to take a quick break here, and we'll be right back. And we are back with the midlife mom and super mom herself.
I like that.
Good. I like that too. So dig through the book a little bit more, because I want to hear about what you wrote. This isn't about us talking about Tim Ferriss the whole time, which respect off to you, Tim, if you hear this, but this isn't your show right now.
Yeah, apparently I do that too often. Okay, so you mentioned the mind, the biohacks for the mind. Well, like I mentioned, I think my favorite one was MCT oil. So MCT oil is a healthy fat that comes from coconut oil, and it's just blended down so that you really take out everything that you can use from it. So the benefit of this is memory, concentration. You'll notice improved focus right away. You're going to notice huge amounts of energy. That's what the bulletproof coffee has in it.
Mm-hmm.
There's even some research as to whether or not it's going to have a benefit on Alzheimer's and maybe some prevention there. So
nice.
It's pretty exciting stuff. So what you get from it right away, though, like I said, energy, memory, focus, concentration. It's like the ADD person's dream, which I have. So I can say that.
I can relate to that. Very much so.
All right. The next one that I started using was exogenous ketones. So this is basically BHB salts, and it's something that your body is going to make anyway. When you restrict carbohydrates, your body is going to switch from using your sugars, and it's going to go to using your fats. And what it does is it takes the ketones that your body produces during that state of switching and makes you use all your fat stores. Fantastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it also gives you a ton of energy.
So, I mean, like, were you, before this, you were couch locked, to use a Colorado term from a marijuana legal state, is couch lock.
I've never heard
that. Well, now we have. But that's kind of where you were at. You were lethargic before you started doing these things. You were definitely in the couch lock. And so the bulletproof coffee made a big difference for you, and the MCT oil made a big difference for you, and then the ketones. I do want to hear more about that, because that is something to where I'm ignorant about.
Yeah, so the bulletproof coffee actually has MCT oil in it. It's coconut oil or MCT oil, whichever one you want to use, and butter in your coffee. So if you hear people talk about butter coffee, that's what that is.
Nice.
But back to the ketones, yeah, it's a powder that I use. I started off with the liquid, which wasn't quite as effective, but it was a good entry into the ketones and what they can do for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I now use a powder that is actually combined with a little bit of MCT oil, and I do that in the morning. And it's like a switch turns on. Like I'll get up and have a cup of coffee, and I'm still sitting there on the couch trying to wake up. I take my ketones, and I am ready to go.
So, I mean, this is like something like, if you missed it for a day, you would absolutely notice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like on-demand energy. It's fantastic.
That's something that I have to be careful with then.
But yeah, it also adds to the clarity and the mental focus that you have. And I mean, I swear bulletproof coffee and ketones are the reason I've accomplished as much as I have in the last year.
Nice. So what else you got that you found that worked well for you? Or also, were there any that you tried that just did not do anything for you?
I know there were some, but nothing's coming to mind. They must not have been that memorable.
That's not a bad thing if they didn't work.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know there was a couple of things, and I was like, well, that didn't work. We're not doing that again.
So what else did you find for hacks that you've stuck with through that period of time?
Let me think. Oh, GABA and HTP. So another byproduct of my growing up, I got trapped in a fire when I was very young down in the basement. So I was fine. I was not injured, but it definitely left me with some PTSD. I have horrible nightmares when I get into certain situations, and I can always tell when they're coming, but there's nothing I can do to stop it. I go to sleep and I have the nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Until I found 5-HTP. 5-HTP is a hormone that you will normally produce anyway. This just gives you a little bit more of it, and it makes me sleep like a baby, and I don't get the nightmares. So when if I see a movie on TV and there's been a significant fire scene, I'm going to have those nightmares. So, or any situation where somebody's trapped and they can't get out, I'm going to get the nightmares. Well, I actually tried taking the movie that scares the crap out of me the most, and I watched it. I took the 5-HTP, and I slept the whole night with no nightmares. So
Nice.
it's a great sleep aid, and it's a great hack for anyone that suffers from night terrors, nightmares, anything like that.
Now, you brought up PTSD. I have that also. Yeah, it's not something that I banter about often, but one of the things that I found a couple of years ago, and I don't know if you've heard about it yet, is EMDR. It's the eye movement remapping that they do with you.
Yeah, I have heard of that.
It was also just a night and day difference for me. My life for years before that was not where I wanted to be at all, definitely. And when I was able to get in and get that portion of therapy done, that after I did all the sessions of the EMDR, it was literally for me. I was driving home and the whole world just came through on a whole different clarity for me. So I can relate to what you're saying here when you're talking about managing your, PTSD and also helping get control of your ADD, that when you find those clarity moments, it is rather striking.
Yeah, it's life-changing.
So what else you got? I know you got more.
I do. This whole book about it. The other one that I mentioned was GABA. It's GABA. It's all capital letters. It's also a neurotransmitter, and this one it just kind of promotes an overall sense of calm. So if I have an overscheduled day for a person with ADD, that's just a nightmare. So I will take that in the morning, and it just kind of helps me get through the day and stay on schedule and just stay nice and calm and just go through the whole day without any issues.
That that I can relate with. You kind of are touching on something else that we can play with. Are you doing much of time blocking? I mean, are you making it to where like you only have a couple of appointments a day? That way you can still get everything else going on? Are you to relate what Peter always says, focus on the 20 and figure out what the other 80% is just busy work and ignore it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I got this book written in 3 months. Is I time blocked 2 days, 2 mornings a week, and during that time period, that was it. I would just sit and write. Everything else was turned off. My phone was upstairs, and I just knocked it out. 3 months it took me from start to finish to write this whole book.
Nice. That's outstanding. I was picking on Marcus Aurelius yesterday about that and asking him, about that. And he had also, and the same with Tim Michael. And that's why I bring it up, because anyone that's listening to this, if you're going to pick up on a theme, time blocking is huge. And, shameless plug by me, your journal also has that built into it, doesn't it?
Not the time blocking so much as your most important tasks for the day.
Mm-hmm.
So you do list out your 3 most important tasks for the day, so then you can go and schedule them.
Okay. What else do you have that's in the journal?
Maybe it does have a little bit of a time blocking in it because it starts with your morning routine. Then it goes into the 3 most important things that you've got to get done that day.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's an inspirational quote to kind of keep you on track, get you thinking about different things. A little spot to indicate whether you worked out or not, and if you didn't, why you didn't. Then it goes into just some blank space for free writing, just to kind of get out whatever's in your head. And then it ends with some gratitude questions.
Nice. So really, you did time block it out. You just didn't realize it.
Yeah, I did.
It's a lot of fun when you find that out about yourself. So I am so curious about your midlife mom book, though. What else do you got in there for different biohacks that you found that were just, even if there was like an incremental gain for you, or also that was like it's shade being raised for you?
This one is going to sound a little bit crazy, but mind games. So, and the good kind, not the kind you play in bad relationships.
No doubt.
I mean, like Lumosity, like, that app. Have you seen that on TV?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Little games like that, brain games, really. It creates neural pathways that aren't there anymore, and it kind of reconnects you with your brain. So there's a thing called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's called BDNF for short. It's a naturally occurring part of your brain that's responsible for memory, creativity, and learning. And there's tons of science out there about this. I mean, don't rely on what I'm saying. Go look it up if you want more information. But playing these games will actually help increase your BDNF. So it sounds really stupid, but you get on an app or you get on a video game and you're actually making your brain work better.
Oh, absolutely. I can relate to that. I guess when I was doing the actual investigations, I had so much random information coming at me that I would just have to process it. But when I didn't have that going on, I just found myself craving problems to solve and different things like that. One of my friends, Nathan Cubes, he absolutely swears by luminosity the last time that I was with him down in Colorado. And then he's also probably one of the most eclectic people that you'll ever meet. Incredible artist, but that's not what we're talking about here. Yeah, I do try to make some time for gaming, but I need to make sure that I'm clear with people that I talk to about that I used to be horribly addicted to World of Tanks. No offense to World of Tanks, but I was logging probably 6 to 10 hours of World of Tanks a day.
Wow.
And yeah, definitely was a disturbance in the force at that time. So when I talk about games now, it's just one of those things where I have a couple of my friends that are out there and we do, online app called 8-Ball Pool. And so you have to deal with the geometry and everything else. We shoot that back and forth to each other. And that's it. I probably only spend 20 to 30 minutes out of my entire day at this point with any type of gaming now.
Well, even that much will help. I mean, your brain, unfortunately, is one of those things that if you don't use it, you will lose it. So every little bit helps. Like I do words with friends, and there's a couple of Scrabble games that I do. I'm ridiculously addicted and ridiculously competitive with Scrabble. But yeah.
That was one that, if you actually get me playing it, then it's on. But I'm not going to go seek it out just because of that competitive nature, that I will just be like, that's got to be a word. This has got to be a word.
Yeah, and most of the time it isn't. But anyway, that's a different subject.
Right.
But there's more ways to increase BDNF than just playing games. I mean, the infrared sauna is fantastic. So I do that twice a week for 30 to 40 minutes. Intermittent fasting, like I mentioned, it will help your brain. That's one of the things that it does. It increases the BDNF. Cold therapy, which I have tried but am not good at. And even just something as basic as
You're
sunlight.
talking about. Are you talking about like the actual cold immersion therapy there?
Yeah, like you hop in an ice bath.
You know, that I would have to be a hop because I don't think that I could ease myself into that.
No, it's not just do willingly. I mean, you can go with great intention, or at least this is my experience with it. I go with great intention. Even after the sauna, I want to just hop in the cold shower.
Mhm.
And I get an arm in and I'm like, nope.
Well, we're going to come back in a couple of seconds for the listeners. I'm going to give you and me a quick break, and we'll be back shortly.
Okay.
Welcome back. You know, when we were on the break, I was thinking about the cold therapy and the sauna that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered that years ago, I worked at Many Point Boy Scout Camp, which is up in northern Minnesota. Wonderful place that I used to work at. And we had a fire burning sauna where the doorway opened up directly out into Many Point Lake.
Ooh.
So what we would do, we had to have some staff observe the troops when they had their reserved sauna time. And so you'd be in there with them, and what you do is you just get just cooked in the sauna, and then you throw the door open, and the entire troop, adults and everybody, just pile drive off into the lake, and you just soak there for a moment. And I mean, it's just an amazing temperature change. And after doing that for about a minute, they all just march like a herd of cows right back into the sauna. And we do that about 5 or 6 times during the evening. Man, was that just an absolute wake up for us.
Yeah, well, that's your BDNF. See, you've been biohacking since you were young and you didn't even know
it. So what else do you have going on? The cold immersion, when I had that, and we did that up in the Boundary Waters of Minnesota also, that at Camp Wilderness up on the top of the Arrowhead Trail or the Gunflint Trail, that they also had a sauna that was right there on that they're a lot farther north than Many Point. So these lakes see ice more days out of the year than they don't. So when you came out of that sauna and you hit the lake, it was bracing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Just the cold shower is enough for me.
Right? So what else do you got in that book of yours of hacks? I'm not making you give away the whole book, but I'm just kind of digging into this. I'm having fun here.
That's all right. Coffee and wine, 2 things that a lot of people love. I'm not going to say everyone because there are a lot of people that don't, but so it's really the caffeine and the resveratrol, but resveratrol binds very well with the alcohol. It makes it more absorbable. So why not drink wine, right?
I don't have a problem with wine. I think that's part of why I have my wine, beer, and spirit import-export license. I like pretty much everything in that category.
Well, perfect. There you go. The red wine, there is resveratrol in it. It's an anti-aging property. And it's also, believe it or not, if you don't drink a whole bottle every night, it is good for your waistline. It does promote a little bit of weight loss, but moderation.
Well, that's all things alcohol. There has to be moderation there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the coffee, this is going to sound crazy again, but regular use of caffeine has been shown to prevent shrinkage of your hippocampus. So drink coffee.
That I probably do too much of. I think I go through at least a half pot to a pot of coffee a day.
Well, yours will never shrink then.
Well, as long as it's the hippocampus that we're talking about, that's not a problem.
Yep, we're sticking with that. Gotta keep it clean.
Right?
So for the moms out there, I mean, obviously your sex drive changes when you're a little bit older, and with what's going on in your life at this point, it's bound to change. I do go into that a little bit in the book. I won't talk much about it here, but there are some physiological reasons that we feel the way that we do at this age. It's not just all in our heads. So pick that up if you want and peruse the book.
Right. So, how is it like some of my friends kind of referred to it like power ups?
Okay, I don't know what you mean.
Oh, we'll just move on past that before I make myself sound like an absolute fool.
Okay.
Sometimes it's hard for a guy to relate with certain girl things, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, what else do you got in there?
I do talk about journaling. I talk about how that can help with your mindset and can, well, with my journal anyway, it can help organize your day a little bit. Sometimes it just helps to get what's in your head out onto paper. You're going to feel a lot better after you do. You don't have to tell anybody. It can be your own personal thing that you tuck away. You can actually use it like a diary. You can refer back to it later. But I talk about that a little bit in there. I talk about meditation and how that can help you. Meditation can actually change your brain waves.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not aware of that for the longest time, or maybe I was, I don't know. I still fought it. You know, an ADD person trying to meditate, it didn't go very well in the beginning. But then I read.
I can relate to that. And Marcus and I touched on that yesterday too.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to hear that. I haven't had a chance yet, but I definitely want to hear that interview. He's a fascinating guy.
So I think that to address that the way that I really got into meditation, that and as the way I referred to it yesterday was pondering. That me and him were both readers of the Tao Te Ching, and so you read through a portion of the Tao, like take just one section at a time, and then just think through, ponder, have basically almost nothing on around you except maybe some relaxing music, and just ponder through what that was. And that's how I began getting into meditation a long time ago. So I'm kind of curious of how you go about it.
I tried the Calm app, and I tried the Calm app. I mean, it's a great app, but I was asleep in seconds, which is great because I can't sleep either. So, I do have a hack for that, which I'll come back to in a minute. But I tried the Headstrong app, and for some reason, that guided meditation worked a little bit better for me. So after maybe a couple of weeks of using that, then I was able to, while I was in the sauna, apply the same techniques and kind of talk myself through it without the guided person. And now, a couple months later, I'm up to 30 minutes in the sauna without any guidance at all.
Outstanding. And so from my experience was that I just felt, and yes, I'm reading the Tao Te Ching and different Buddhism, but what is it something to where you're able to come away from it and you just have like this nice calm enlightenment that you have clarity of what you want to do next, or how does it affect you in your life?
I think it does is the dopamine feeling. And I'm sure it actually does have an effect on your dopamine levels. But I feel not only calm and clear, it's I don't know how to explain it. It's just a general peace comes over me. And even the things that I was thinking about while I'm in there, even if I was frustrated while I was trying to work through something, those are more manageable. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how it affects me.
Oh, absolutely. The way that I got my PTSD years and years and years ago, it's one of those things to where anytime I was able to find something that could reduce that fear impact or reduce that nervousness and anxiety, I was completely drawn to anytime that I could experience it. So for me, and this kind of relates to your fire experience, that I really wanted something to where I could just be away from where I'm at, yes, yet still, having to deal with the fact that, when you're a kid, you're stuck where you're at, but being able to find somewhere to just move away. And that's a huge portion of why the PTSD was a pain in the ass, but that meditation was just the truth for me when I was younger.
That's interesting. I've never really thought about whether or not it has an effect on that, but I guess it would.
Oh, for me, it did. Oh, and in a sense, that's kind of the EMDR therapy for the PTSD. That's a lot like the guided therapy that you're talking about. That they get the REM style movement of the eyes going, and you have the therapist sitting over there. You've got headphones on, and the nice thing is they typically have a good, calm, soothing voice, and they actually kind of talk you through different things as you're experiencing the therapy, and it's just really phenomenal. I just can't speak highly enough about it. Just, I mean, it was a night and day difference in how I perceived life before and after.
That's fascinating. Anything that you do that does not, I mean, even medication is a biohack of sorts, but anything that you do that promotes something natural within the body is biohacking. And I love hearing stories like that this stuff actually works.
Right? So what else? What else? What else? You got such a big book. I know you have more hidden in there.
I do talk a lot about your mindset and how to build a bulletproof mindset. So that can come a lot of ways. It can come from good experience. It can come from from negative experiences, but it's really important to take control of your own mind and to design what you think about every day instead of just being reactive all through the day. And that's a big thing that Peter talks about in our academy all the time. So yeah, I have a whole chapter on that as well. And I actually take the reader through redesigning their focus and what they're doing with their life and where they want to go with their life. So I guess I can't go into too much of that right now because a lot of it's writing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like a workbook, but yeah, there's an entire section on that. So if you want to redesign your life and the way that you think and what you're doing with it, grab that book.
How did you encounter Peter the first time? Did you find his book 6 months to six figures like I did, or how did you end up falling into Peter's message and then make your way into the Game Changers Academy from there?
When I started my brokerage, I realized I had to promote myself and I had absolutely no idea how to do that. So I started doing a lot of reading online and I read Entrepreneur Magazine. So I don't know why I thought that would help, but I figured it would. And that's where I found him. He was listed in a list of 30 to watch under 30.
Mm-hmm.
So I started following him on social media and he had my attention pretty much instantly. He has such a great message, and he talked about his book and he talked about this academy, and I thought the academy would be like school, and I was like, no, no, no. But then after I grabbed the book and I devoured it probably in about 2 days, and then I said, okay, let's check this out, and now I'm a part of it.
Nice. I've still I I actually carry the book in my backpack and it's been all over the place with me, but about once a quarter I make a point to go back through because that way I'm able to do kind of like tracking my mileage in a sense to
Hmm.
where I can take each chapter and be like, the first time I read it, I was actually down in Mexico City working on the building of my import export company. And then about 3 months later, I was like, I want to get better at what's going on here. And he had mentioned mastery in there. So I really dialed back on the volume of books that I was consuming at that point because I was probably every 3 days picking up a brand new book at that point. And just pile driving through tons of books. And once I encountered 6 months to six figures, I slowed down and put a lot more reason behind everything that I was doing instead of just being that constant devourer of books.
Yeah, I'm doing that as well. But that had never occurred to me to do. And I just finished my book this morning, so that I might actually do that. I mean, I've been going through all the training stuff that he has and the calls that we do and all of that stuff on a regular basis, but I think that's a great idea. I'm going to do that.
It was actually Kayla, his wife, that interviewed me for my application to the Game Changers Academy, and the timing of her phone call was delicious. Serendipity, providence. I mean, I can put all kinds of great words on it. It was just the timing for her phone call to me was just perfect, and I was so happy to be able to get into the academy.
Yeah, me as well. I mean, I'm obviously not a millennial, so I wasn't sure that he would have me, but he did, and it's been a fantastic experience.
Okay. Let's take a break here. We're at the 15-minute mark again, and we'll be back just in a little bit.
Okay.
I was just chuckling to myself here at the break because I just remembered, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago that I had posted a Marcus Aurelius quote on my Instagram feed, and you popped in there and commented on it, and you were like, man, you need to read the book. And I think it was about an hour later where Marcus popped up. He's like, I was mentioned.
Yeah, I had no idea you guys were friends, and I had just finished his book.
Oh, that's outstanding. Yeah, I just got an absolute kick out of that, especially for the fact that you're now on the podcast and that he was also on the podcast, and then Tim's also on the podcast. So there's just like this great positive feedback loop that's going on there.
Yeah, I've actually been using it's Tim Michael's book, The 10 Factor. I've been using that as I go through starting my new venture, and it's been incredibly helpful.
Have you had Tim coaching at all, or are you just using the book at this time?
Coaching, in my first session is tomorrow, so I have not yet. I'm excited though.
Outstanding. I didn't realize how much of a little cult we're starting to form here.
I know, right? But it's a good cult.
Well, and that speaks really to something that we all work on. And Tim spoke about this, and so did Marcus, and I have before, but I'm going to bring you in on circle of influence. When you thought about circle of influence and changing that to today, what was that like for you?
I think on some level, I knew that my circle of influence was subpar. We'll just put it that way. Hopefully none of those people are listening. And it was filled with insurance people who are not the most positive people out there. And I think that was part of the reason that I didn't want to promote myself. And I didn't even want to go to that group and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, come support me, because I knew that it just wouldn't be there.
Yeah, I can so relate to that. Anybody that hasn't listened to Peter or read his stuff, or anybody else that addresses circle of influence, because I know Marcus does, and I know that Tim does also, that the experience before you change your circle of influence is, hey, I've got this really great idea. I want to try to make it happen. You bring it to your friends, and they look at you like, are you stupid?
Yeah, exactly.
Come back over here, sit down, take game controller and a beer, sit back, you're getting uppity, you're disturbing us, to can you tell I've been through that experience?
Yeah.
To where you improve your circle of influence and then you have people that just ramp you up, and it's just in an awesome way. And I dropped his name yesterday too, Taylor Reynolds, a new young man that just introduced himself to me, to where he called me up and, you know, I got him so ramped up into his projects and just into his future and just changing his whole mindset that it was so much fun for me. And that's why I pointed him out to you and to Tim. I'm like, hey, introduce you to Taylor Reynolds. And then he connected with both of you guys on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet, but he seems like a great guy.
He's interesting. He's a good character. I think that there's great things that are going to come out of him.
All right. But yeah, it's completely changing. I hate to say life changing because I know I've said that twice already today, but it really is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fast forward to today, I'm now connected with a group of people who are excited to see me succeed and who help and who are promoting my books and my journal, and who, with this new venture, which I know I've mentioned a couple times but haven't really said much about, it's something really exciting, and it's in the real estate world. It could really change the way real estate is transacted, but it's also very scary to think about taking this on. And I'm now connected with a group of people who are like, yeah, go for it, instead of like, hold on, don't do that.
When I first started my foray into import export, and especially for tequila, because Wazache Tequila went out of their way to help me, support me, and get me going. So if anybody ever wonders why I beat the drum for them so hard, it's not because they've ever made a financial investment into me. They haven't. They made that personality and we believe in you investment into me. And for that, I feel absolutely indebted to them. And I just love the hell out of those guys. I should say gals, since the Romo sisters are the head honchos there. But their team, took a chance on me. And that's why, perhaps people that are attached to my social media might get sick of seeing tequila bottles all the time. But, that was the start of it. But I had so many people that via messenger or phone conversations or people around me, they're like, why are you doing that? That doesn't sound like something you can do. And it was soul crushing. So when I really started to make the change and do that circle of influence shift, which I really, really, really took into earnest last June. So I'm still new in some of the processes here, like you are, that it was phenomenal, the different feedback that I was starting to get. And it wasn't, false motivation, rah, rah, hey, do this. But it was really people saying, hey, how can I help? Have you thought of this? Are you connected with this person? No? Well, let me introduce you and talk to them because they're going to give you some great information. So shifting that circle of influence and removing certain people that were those maintenance friends, it was just striking for how much accomplishment that I was able to then get done versus before when I'd be trying to work on something and the people around me would just kind of tear me down. So what else did you experience with that? I mean, from the creeping of your social media that I did, I see that you have a happy husband that's by you. Is he, he's got to be completely on board with what you're doing here. Has he just been really awesome with helping you, or were there times where he's kind of looking at you funny, but then you get the success and he's like, okay, I see what you're doing, I'm in?
I would love to say that has been my experience, but it has not. He's very different than me. I'm the risk taker, so I have that entrepreneurial side. He's very much you go to your job, you work from 9 to 5, you come home and you sit on the couch. So for him to watch me doing all of this stuff, he thinks I'm absolutely insane. And as long as the money's coming in, he deals with it pretty well, actually. But yeah, he thinks I'm crazy. But the good thing about that is he never tells me I can't do it.
Okay, so he is supportive. He's just kind of still observing at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to infect him eventually. He's going to be like, I need to try this.
I keep hoping. We'll see. But yeah, back to
Well,
circle of influence. I mean, the Game Changers Academy, my partner in the new venture is a game changer. Tim Michael just connected me with my developer and my marketing team. So everybody's there to help, and it's so nice to be a part of a group that is genuinely excited for your success, even if they don't entirely know what it is yet.
well, isn't that the truth? That's okay. So anyone that's listening to this is probably going to be like, why do they keep bringing these other names up? They're in the other podcasts. They're friends of ours. But Tim, to speak to him for a moment, and obviously he's doing the same thing for you. He can't help but be helpful. He really can't.
That's not a bad thing.
I know, but he called me because I was consulting him, and I'm explaining to him different things that he needed to do leading up in front of his book launch to help him increase visibility and to help him increase, participation amongst the buying public. And he just couldn't help himself. He's like, so what are you doing? How can I help you? And I was like, Tim, here. I appreciate your help, but for a little bit, you need to relax. I know you're the business coach, but it's my turn.
I can completely see that happening.
Oh, he's just wonderful. So for what other lessons have you, whether it's from Tim Ferriss or Tim, Michael, since we have a few Tims in the mix now, or even Marcus Aurelius, or Peter, or Austin even. I'm surprised we haven't mentioned Austin Nitzley yet in this, but is there any key points to where they just dropped a nugget on you and you were suddenly like, wow, I never saw it that before? Or is there anything else like that you've experienced with your time with the GCA and with your hacking?
There's been a couple of things. Early on, Austin talks about the theory of SHIP, which is basically before you think everything is perfect in your product or your business, put it out there and see what people think, get some feedback. That has been huge for me. I think that has had a big effect on me writing this book. Rather than just sitting there and having the idea for a year and a half, I had the idea and the next day I had started on it.
Nice. I think that's probably one of the most handicapping things that a lot of new entrepreneurs and new writers run into is that analysis paralysis.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
They want to continue massaging it. And I was so guilty of that once that I actually had probably 90% of the biz dev done on a podcast, had a logo and all this other stuff going on, but never actually interviewed anybody or even made a recording.
Yeah, that doesn't go very well.
No, it didn't work at all, actually. So what else did you find? So you had that getting used to not having to be perfect aspect, but actually sharing it. I call it half-baked, but you sharing your product before it's completely done to get feedback. What else have you learned?
The whole theory of time blocking. I had never done that before. Most of my days were spent in reaction, and now it's great to be planning it and executing it the way that I want it to happen.
Mm-hmm. I am so picky about scheduling people now that if certain people, and this is 99% of the public now at this point, if you call me and you don't have a scheduled appointment with me and I'm time blocked onto something else, you're going to voicemail. I'll get to it later, because I just need that to be able to get my world done. Otherwise, in the past, I always allowed people to interrupt me for the littlest reasons. And, if your ADD is like mine, it literally could be just a squirrel or a bird flying by the window, and I'm distracted. I need to be in that time block just to get back into what I'm doing so that I can finish what it was that I was on. And yeah, that time blocking has been huge for me.
Yeah. And the other thing, and this is probably the biggest thing, is just taking ownership of my own crap, really accepting that I'm the one that's accountable for everything that goes on. No excuses, no blaming people. Whatever it is that's happening in my own life is my doing one way or another. It's either by acting or by failing to act. And that's been a big mindset shift for me, and it's been fantastic.
That ties into that gratitude aspect also. When you take ownership of everything going on around you, that you find this ability to grab on to, okay, so that happened. I don't like the way it turned out. Instead of complaining about it, you're in a sense grateful that it failed, or grateful that like, even in the micro, that this one little thing didn't work, that you're actually, okay, that didn't work. I'm happy because now I learned. Did you start experiencing that when you were with the GCA, or was that something that you had before, or have you just not seen it that way? You've labeled it a different way for yourself?
It's definitely something that I've experienced in a way that I've lived my life for a long time, but I've never labeled it the way that I have recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, was it Marcus that said in his book, I forget how he said it, I experience or I learn.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I like that. I just kind of grabbed onto that and said, I'm using that. That's my new phrase.
Nice. So let's throw a break in here, and then we can come back in a little bit.
Okay.
Welcome back, Kim.
Thank you. So before we go into the recap, I did promise to go back to sleep. So I wanted to touch on that real quick.
Absolutely.
The best biohack that I have found to make myself go to sleep at night, and I've tried it all, is California poppy seed extract. So a few drops of that, either in some water or just by itself under your tongue, and I am out like a light.
So, did you notice that before your being able to improve your sleep cycle, was that, do you think in retrospect, like one of the biggest issues that you started running into? Because obviously, if you're a mom and you've got kids in the house and you're dealing with, life and a career at that time, if your sleep cycle isn't dialed in, that just had to be tough on you.
It was, but I think as a mom, and when you're in a high stress job, you just it becomes a way of life and you don't even notice it anymore. I think the stress affected me more than the sleep, but who knows? I mean, I kind of found them all together, found all these remedies together, so I'm not really sure which thing it was.
Right. When I was a bail bondsman, the phone could ring at any time. Somebody could get arrested at any time. They get processed into the jail. And as soon as they get access to a telephone, I'm one of the first people that they called. So if they got arrested at 2 a.m. in the morning, by about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I was getting a phone call. And so that was part of my world. And when I was able to actually get rid of that sleep cycle interruption, it was amazing at how quickly certain aspects of my mental health actually started improving. Yet, there was other steps along the way. The EMDR for the PTSD was critical to make a change. That's why I was asking about sleep cycling for you. And I can identify what you mean by saying that you did so many different things in succession that it's hard to identify if like any single one was like really crux to what you had for improvement.
Yeah, sleep is huge. And if you're not getting the right amount of sleep, nothing's going to function right. I mean, you absolutely need that to restore both your physical and mental body. So I'm sure that was a big part of it. So there's an app out there called Sleep Cycle. Have you heard of it?
Probably, but I haven't used it.
So what
Tell me
it
about
does, it when you go to bed at night, you set a wake up time that you want to have. And it gives you like a half an hour or an hour to graduate to waking up. And it will start to wake you up slowly and gently when you start to wake up naturally. So that it just feels like you've woken up on your own, even though you're waking up at the time that you specify. But what else it will do is if you turn it on the right way and keep it next to your bed at night, it will actually track how you're sleeping. I don't know how it does this. It uses your microphone, but that's all I know. And it will show you in the morning a printout of when you were awake, when you were in deep sleep, when you were in REM sleep, so you can really figure out what is going on. Like within 2 days of using this, I figured out that my neighbor was waking me up at 3 a.m. when he would go to work, which I had never known. So it really,
Wow.
that made a huge difference as well. And I found that, I don't know, probably about 6 months ago. But that really,
Nice.
that affected the quality of my sleep, not just my ability to get to sleep. So that was a great find.
I do remember that app. I did have it for a while. But the black lab kept disturbing the bed at different times of the night, and the alarm thought that was me waking up. So they didn't have, large dog, hack for the app.
I know what you mean. It picks up my dog snoring and tells me it was me.
Exactly. And I remember when I was going through my files on the phone one time, I was like, what are these audio files? And I start listening to it. I'm like, you hear not much, but all of a sudden you hear, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, I can relate.
So if anybody ever finds those old audio files, if they ever hack me, they're definitely going to be really bored by the fact that I'm sitting there snoring for quite a while. Not going to get anything good out of that. So now you've got a biohacking blog. Where do people find that at?
Midlifemom.blog. And that's kind of my latest finds. Right now I'm doing a 10-part series on my 10 favorite biohacks. And it'll be updated weekly. So yeah, check it out. See what you think. Maybe you'll find something new in there.
Nice. What else? I mean, like, where else can people find you? I know you're on LinkedIn. Where are your favorite places to interact with people? Where can they find you?
I think I'm on Instagram most, and that would be midlife.mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm on Facebook just under my regular name, as well as Midlife Mom. But honestly, the Facebook Midlife Mom is just a repeat of my Instagram.
I can relate to that. I actually threw a post up on my Twitter and Instagram for those followers, and I said 90% of what I do for content is over on LinkedIn. So if you like following me here, you're only seeing 5%. Now, the best part of that, though, was one of my friends who's out in Bismarck, North Dakota, responded. He's like, oh my God, you're telling me that you're holding back here? Yes.
That's pretty funny. I know what he means too.
I feel sorry for some of our friends. They get to see all of our marketing material right up close and personal, don't they?
Yeah, they do, whether they want to or not. Although thanks to Facebook, they may not right now.
Right? What was the post that I just put up? I think it was earlier today. I was like, oh, geez, whoever thought that a data-driven online service where you post your personal information, that they'd store that? Who knew? I mean, I have friends that work in the electronic surveillance world, do a lot of signal intel and that type of stuff. And if you looked at them and were actually amazed that Facebook, Instagram, or any of these other apps and services were keeping your info, I really think that they'd break their neck with how far to the side it would twist as they give you an eye roll at the same time.
I know there's no such thing as privacy anymore. As long as you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be, you'll be fine. But
isn't that the truth?
Yeah, but there's somebody watching everywhere.
All right, so you have Midlife Mom to Super Mom.
Right.
You have the Entrepreneur Journal. Where can people find that? And then you have version 2 coming out. Where is the best place to encounter that? Is that also going to be through your website, or where are the best places for people to buy your books?
Either through my website or on Amazon.
Do you have a separate Amazon page for you?
I do have my author page. It's just under Kim Gateb. You can
Okay.
also connect to everything through my blog. It'll take you right to the Amazon page.
Perfect. I so appreciate your time today. It's been a lot of fun picking on you.
It has. Thank you.
And, one of these days we'll have to dive into how you're wanting to be an FBI agent too. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And for what you clued me into in the future, for what you do have working in the background, I think that that's going to be massive when you get that done. And so I'm definitely going to get you connected with a couple of behavioralist profilers that I know.
Perfect.
To help you on that venture, because that is just too much fun for what you're going to do.
I agree. Thank you.
All right, Kim, thank you so much for your time today. And I, again, absolutely appreciate you.
Well, it's been fun. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you later.
All right. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for episode 9 of the Raven Rising podcast. And again, huge amount of thanks to Kim for coming on and joining us today. Make sure you find her journal. It is up on Amazon for sale. And version 2 is about to drop. Plus, find her book, Midlife Mom to Super Mom. It was a pleasure to have her on here. And the nice thing is, I got to chat with her for a little bit afterwards. And man, she's got some fun stuff coming up. So if you don't know who she is, you really need to pay attention, because she has some beautiful projects that are in the work right now. So find her on her social media, find her on her website, and get after it. Find the Midlife Mom. Once again, thank you, Kim. And everybody else, I appreciate your time. Have a great day.